If you go back to the original founding fathers, they intended this to be a European nation for white men of good stock and character.
Can you show me where in the United States Constitution it says that?
It wasn't in the Constitution.
It wasn't in the Constitution because they didn't believe it.
The founding...
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Nissim Black Show. It's a pleasure whenever you're here. Nick Fuentes, ladies and gentlemen, I would say this. If you have never seen evil unless you have seen Nick Fuentes, I would say that he is probably absolutely single-handedly, hands down, by far, probably one of the most evil people to ever be platformed. I think that he is probably, in our generation, he is Hitler reincarnated in the flesh. Now, there was some talk shortly after Charlie had passed because of the way that Nick spoke about him, and there was some worry or some talking, some musings that maybe Nick Fuentes was interested in fulfilling the role of Charlie Kirk. Sorry. Now, Charlie Kirk to Nick Fuentes is as far apart as you can get, probably in the universe. You know, they say that the largest distance that there is anywhere in the world, anywhere in the galaxy, is the distance between the mind and the heart, right? For me to take something that I know and for it to become a part of me and for it to be in my heart is a much harder thing to come to, right? Now, in terms of physical things in the world of spirituality, in the world of physics and things like that, there is a wide distance in between who Charlie Kirk was and Nick Fuentes. And that should never be mistaken. I have a clip right now that I'm going to share with you. Shout out again to Milk Bar because he's like, I'm just saying, he's the best. I mean, so many other content creators are using these things, but shout out to Milk Bar. This clip is going to display for you how distant these two actually are. I mean, watch it, and try not to get upset. It's going to be hard. And also, too, another thing, before I play this clip, I want you to see the essence of Charlie. I watched this clip, I almost cried. Almost every time I see Charlie, I cry. My wife holds that if there was a such thing as, of what we would say, the Lamed Vavim, the 36 hidden tzaddikim of righteous people that, in Judaism we teach are completely hidden, but the whole entire world rests upon these people. She says it could be that Charlie Kirk is even in that because the guy was an amazing individual in every way. But I want you guys to see this clip and see the essence. And for all of you who are calling Charlie Kirk a racist, this one's going to slap you in the mouth. Let's roll it.
This is a white country. Want to know why? It was established by white people, founded by white people, built by white people. White people settled the continent. And up until very recently, almost exclusively white people lived here. That's why.
If you go back to the original founding fathers, they intended this to be a European nation for white men of good stock and character.
Can you show me where in the United States Constitution it says that?
It wasn't in the Constitution.
It wasn't in the Constitution because they didn't believe it.
The founding...
What does the phrase e pluribus unum mean?
Why is that relevant?
Because it was on every founding document and presidential seal from our founding, which means out of many, one. You, sir, and your ideology is not conservative. It is right-wing, identitarian, and has no place in the conservative movement, my friend. Get out of line. Get out of line. USA, USA, USA.
You acknowledge that your point of view is fundamentally anti-American. From the founding fathers, the framers,
100%. Americanism is a heresy in the Catholic Church. You know that if you knew anything.
Okay,
but you get all
why
your
the
information from
f*** are you even in
Wikipedia
this country?
articles.
Why not go and live in Rome? Or why be in the United States and try to change this into some theocratic regime when that's not fundamentally what the country is about?
We want to make it better.
Or overtly saying that you want to run it as a theocratic regime, that you want religion and God to be the number one thing we answer to.
Now, I don't disagree with the theocracy. I don't believe in it in the way that obviously probably Nick Fuentes. I don't believe in it in the same way as radical Islam and jihadists. But I think the idea is and what's actually biblical. And, obviously, even before King Saul Shaul, or before David HaMelech, King David, before them, the idea was, and remember the disappointment of Samuel, that the people would take on an actual earthly king, right? So in every way, the Bible supports God, ruling, right? But obviously with kindness and with different things like that. I don't want to sound like I'm crazy, but I'm not 100% against that. But the way that Charlie is going to talk about the Constitution, he's talking about the Constitution of man basically working with God to provide a constitution that inherently is in line with godly values. Just see how he answers this.
And not the Constitution? Yeah. So
As I said, I believe America is the greatest country in the history of the world. I believe the Constitution is the greatest political document ever written. The Constitution was not written for the times. It was written to stand the test of time. Because despite how technology continues to advance, human beings stay exactly the same. We are self-centered, broken by nature, envious, narcissistic individuals that will always try to serve our self-interest. The Founding Fathers realized that there was this pattern, so they developed a system of government that would decentralize the evil as far as possible and try to have the most representation imaginable. That's why the Constitution is the greatest political document ever written.
I don't want to get married.
What are we going to do, Chad? It's absolutely cooked. I just wish I could marry myself, I just wish I could marry me. But I can't have kids with me,
And I can tell you I'm super blessed. I have the best wife in the world. We have an amazing life. Building a family is the coolest thing ever. And my prayer for all of you is that you one day can do that.
The straightest thing you could do is to never have sex. And everyone knows that's true.
The greatest joy I've ever had is coming home to my little daughter running up to my leg. There's nothing that even comes close to it. Not flying on Air Force One, not meeting with presidents. That pales in comparison to your little girl coming up and squeezing your leg.
Raise your right hand. All right, everybody raise your right hand. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I will kill, rape, and die for Nicholas J. Fuentes.
The young men that are lost, and if any young man is listening to this right now, stop watching porn, stop, smoking weed, stop drinking endlessly, find yourself back to church. That will reorient your life.
I agree.
And do what the church tells you to do, right? Find a woman, marry her, provide, have more kids than you can afford. That's my advice for young men.
Yes.
Don't play the victim, even though you legitimately can play the victim card on everything we've said.
I agree.
The mindset of a victim is parasitic to your soul.
So my brother-in-law actually said this to me, and I actually think he's right. Now, in the beginning, I didn't know a lot about Nick Fuentes, but what he actually pointed out to me is that not only does he think that he's a Hitler-type figure, he is now trying to sort of work covertly, right? He's pulling back on a lot of his rhetoric and the way that he say the things that he did. He went on PBD. He looked like he was a human. That's what he looked like on PBD. And he looked as if he was much more moderate than as extreme as he's been. And I actually think that my brother-in-law's honest. He says that he's just trying to position himself into a place where he looks more normal than what he is. And then it could be that perhaps this person will literally be Hitler. And I don't, Rumble has to do what it has to do, and I appreciate the fact that Rumble exists for those when there's free speech, because obviously that protects everybody. However, this guy is the epitome of evil. And anybody who listens to him, and it's not that everything that he says is wrong. I'm not saying that. That is almost true about Candace Owens. But when it comes to Nick Fuentes, it's not that everything that he's saying is wrong. But that doesn't justify, glorifying almost anything that the guy says. To ever think that anything that he's saying is of worth or worth any significant value, even if it's right sometimes. He's just one of those guys that we shouldn't probably quote. So I see this, and I want everybody's guards to be up when it comes to Nick Fuentes. To see that how moderate he's trying to behave and how he's trying to, look at Mamdani. So we talked about, he's trying to sort of put on this nice guy, this, very polished politician. And he seems like I'm not as extreme. All the meanwhile, not ever condemning the extremist things that he participated in, nor any of those other things. Watch Nick Fuentes. I think we should establish a Nick Fuentes watch party. And to see how he's trying to maneuver himself into that position, he'll never be a Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was a man of God. He was a man of principle. He was a man that stood for something. And it's a clear difference, again, between who he is and who Nick Fuentes is. And please let that never be of any confusion for you. So my I guess who I really need to address this to is my young Gen Zers and the up-and-coming conservative movement. I would like to say sorry to all of you, and I would like to give you my empathy, and I empathize and I sympathize. We were all lied to growing up. We were lied to in school. We were lied to. Those who went on to educate ourselves after high school and went into, higher education. And we're seeing that everybody's been lied to. We've only been pointing it out really on the left, how radicalized people have gone. But when we look at the right Gen Zers now, that new media is taking over, and these podcasts and these personalities and these, grifters are platformed. You have to be, young people, you have to be just as careful as we did growing up when we were taking in the mainstream media. And only in recent years, we've been able to see, wow, these guys have been bamboozling us for years. Just because it's moved over from traditional media, and we all see that hoax. There's something that we say, Jews say, for the nighttime prayers. And it's in the middle of our liturgy. It says, God, please remove the Yetzer, the evil inclination before me and the one behind me. So there is a Yetzer hara, there is an evil inclination that is before me that I can easily see. I can see that the media, the mainstream media, they're liars. They're making up stuff all the time, and we can point to, and all of that's clear. The numbers are even showing people don't hold them as credible as they used to. But the evil inclination that is behind us, that sometimes is very hard to see. That means it sneaks up on us in the guise of Nick Fuentes, in the guise of Tucker Carlson, in the guise of Candace Owens, and there are many others. I mean, I guess I would say that those are the big three nutbags. But you have to be careful. And unfortunately, I'm telling you, just like King Solomon has said, there's nothing new under the sun. So be prepared. Thank you so much for watching. Please, again, make sure you like, subscribe, notification bell, and if you can, make sure that you pick up some merch. NissimBlack.store. Make sure you get yourself a cup, t-shirt, something, help and support this channel. Also, you can sign up for Glory Nation, which is my online community where we go deep into prayer and how to protect ourselves from being idiots. See you guys in the next video.